Hello all who are here for the Allison Roadway meeting. I am Arif Kazmi, the Assistant District Engineer from District 6, New Mexico, DOT. And today our team is presenting the Allison Roadway project that's in the city of Gallup for you all. I will give you a brief background of the project. It began with a study by NMDOT and the Federal Highway Administration, with City of Gallup and McKinley County as the study team members, and that was in 2008. Going along, in 2010, initial evaluation of the alternatives was done. That was 2010. You see on the screen. Finally, the detailed evaluation of the selected alternatives was completed in 2012. It was followed by the environmental assessment in 2013 and 14. And the first project of Allison Road that you can see was the bridge on Rio Perco, completed by the City of Gallup in 2018. Currently, other sections of the Allison Road are under design. And I think I will turn this presentation over to our consultant designers team, Jeanette Walther with Bohannon Huston, to tell us where we are now. Would you be able to take up from here, Jeanette?
Yes, thank you, Arif. Hello, everyone. This is Jeanette Walther. The proposed Allison Road will be located on the west side of Gallup, approximately 1 mile from the I-40 US 4991 interchange. This will replace the existing Allison Road, which starts at New Mexico 118, has a underpass under Interstate 40 and connects to Allison Road and Maloney Drive. The proposed road will begin at the Barbara and Florence intersection south of New Mexico 118. It includes a bridge over New Mexico 118 and BNSF Railroad. And there will also be a bridge eventually over Interstate 40. At that time, the underpass will be closed, and the road will tie into Kachina north of Walmart and Home Depot. The purpose of the Allison Road corridor improvements is to improve safety by eliminating the at-grade railroad crossing on existing Allison Road at New Mexico 118, to reduce congestion on US 491 by providing an alternative route, to improve connectivity for vehicles, pedestrians, and bicycles between the north and south sides of Interstate 40, and to facilitate economic growth and ensure consistency with the City of Gallup long-range plan. Due to funding limitations, the project has been broken into multiple parts. Part A, shown in orange, begins at the Barbara and Florence Street intersection and ends at the south side of the Rio Puerco Bridge that was constructed. Part B, shown in green, begins on the north side of the Rio Puerco Bridge, has an overpass over Interstate 40, and then it's going to have connections back to Maloney and Acoma Road in the community of Allison. Part C and D, shown in pink, will connect Allison Road to Kachina Street, and there will also be a connection back to Kachina Road. The design will accommodate a future interchange shown in blue, but that interchange is not included in this project because there's not enough traffic at the location to warrant an interchange. When construction is complete, there will be a 2-lane road from one end to the other. This is a typical section of the roadway. Right-of-way will be preserved for a future 4-lane road. There will be 2 lanes in each direction with a raised median in the middle that will accommodate left turn bays. There'll be a 6-foot shoulder on both sides for bicyclists and a 5-foot sidewalk. Sorry, I went too far. There. South of New Mexico 118, the road will have a wall on either side since Allison Road is going over New Mexico 118 and the BNSF Railroad. The wall will be approximately 20 feet in height closest to the bridge and taper down to 5 or 6 feet near the Barbara intersection. This is to minimize impacts to right-of-way in this area. But as I said, only a 2-lane road will be constructed with the current project. There will be a shoulder on both sides of the 2-lane road for bicyclists and a sidewalk on both sides. The additional 2 lanes will not be constructed until the area develops. Here is an aerial view of Part A. At the Barbara and, as I said, it starts at the Barbara and Florence intersection, has a bridge over New Mexico 118 and BNSF. It will have a connection to Warehouse Lane where there are city and county yards, and it will connect to the south side of the existing bridge. So once this is built, the existing Allison Road and connecting to the underpass under I-40 will still be there. The existing Allison Road railroad crossing will be removed. There will, and we'll have 2 possible water pond locations that we're showing here on empty lots south of New Mexico 118. We don't know yet if we will need one or both of the sites. The Barbara and Florence intersection is a low point which currently floods if there is a big storm. The stormwater will be picked up in drop inlets and put into a pond which will allow it to soak into the ground. Part B starts on the north side of the Rio Puerco Bridge. There'll be a connection to the solar field and a connection to Old Allison Road to accommodate traffic on the south side of I-40. There'll be an overpass over Interstate 40 and then a new connection to Acoma Street in the community of Allison and West Maloney Avenue. The old road, Old Maloney Avenue, and parts of Old Allison Road will be removed with this project. North of Interstate 40, Allison Road will be much closer to the ground. There won't be as much raising of the ground level. It will still be a 2-lane road with shoulders and sidewalks. Here's an aerial view of Part C. It'll start at the existing intersection that was built in Part B, that proposed intersection, I should say. And it will go and skirt the south side of the mesa and connect to what is currently Kachina Road, north of Walmart and the Home Depot. We have shown a preliminary stormwater pond on the map. The size of the pond might change as we get more information, but there is a lot of water flowing through this area when it rains, and the purpose of the pond is to slow the water down to reduce flooding. This is a new road, so quite a bit of right-of-way is needed, including 1.6 acres south of New Mexico 118 and 31.2 acres north of I-40. In addition, approximately 12.5 acres may be needed for ponds. This figure shows the additional land needed for the ponds and new road on the south side of New Mexico 118. New Mexico 118 is on the right side of this map, the BNSF Railroad, and so this is the area to the south. The right-of-way between the BNSF Railroad and I-40 has already been dedicated by the City of Gallup. We also anticipate there will be some temporary construction permits along Barbara, which will be needed to reconstruct driveways. The land north of I-40 is undeveloped, but the land south of 118 is not. Properties that will be affected include the Lottaberger, part of a parking lot, a warehouse, and 2 offices. The NMDOT acquires right-of-way in accordance with the Uniform Relocation Assistance and Real Property Acquisition Policies Act of 1970, which ensures fair, equitable, and consistent treatment of property owners and falls under the New Mexico Department of Transportation Right-of-Way Bureau's oversight. The process includes notification of owners, boundary surveys and right-of-way maps, a 2-step appraisal process, offers to property owners, and relocation assistance. The design of Part A will be completed in the summer of next year. There will be a public information meeting just before completing the design to present the final product. A 60% design of Parts B, C, and D will be completed at about the same time. This is as far as these parts will be taken until funding is available for construction. Right-of-way acquisition for the entire corridor is expected to take 2 years and should be completed by the fall of 2023. Construction of Part A is planned to start in the spring of 2024. Now I will turn the presentation over to John Tashik.
Hello, again, my name is John Tashik with Ecosphere Environmental Services. Our role is to prepare the environmental documentation as part of the current project phase. Because the project involves NMDOT funding and federal funding in the past, we will comply with the National Environmental Policy Act, or NEPA. We are preparing an environmental reevaluation for the 2013 EA to assess any changed conditions for final design, right-of-way acquisition, and construction of Part A. Environmental and community factors are considered in project decision-making. Only those factors relevant to the project will be studied in detail, although the figure here shows the full range of possible environmental topics. Issues that we expect will be key for the Allison Road project include natural resources. Impacts to wetlands are possible due to the drainage improvements. Other resource concerns include managing noxious weeds and potential impacts to prairie dog colonies. Cultural resources, previous surveys have identified potentially eligible historic and archaeological sites in the project area, but no direct effects are anticipated. Consultation with the State Historic Preservation Officer is ongoing. We are preparing a noise study to evaluate future noise levels that may affect sensitive residential areas. And to date, we don't have any impacts or any results of the noise study, but we will develop that and provide more information in the future. The roadway and bridge at the New Mexico 118 railroad crossing may have visual impacts because it will be raised above existing grade on fill or because of the introduction of the new bridge structure. Additionally, the new bridge over I-40 will likewise create a new visual effect or environment in the area. And we welcome any comments you may have on the visual elements of the project. Hazardous materials, several known or suspected contaminated sites are present in the corridor and will be investigated further as the project proceeds. Community and land use issues, as Jeanette mentioned, several property relocations are required. However, the project will benefit general community mobility, pedestrian and bicycle access, safety, and economic development. The project is consistent with the city's future land use planning as well. An important part of the project development process is public involvement and sharing project information. This slide shows how you can participate and provide input. During tonight's meeting, you can ask questions or make comments, and we will respond with answers or more information. We are also recording the meeting so you can view it later. The project website And that's https://allison-road.public-involvement.com/ contains previous project reports, maps and graphics of the current design, a comment form, and other project information. And as I said before, you can view the recorded presentation from tonight and submit comments on the website, which will be updated periodically to keep you informed. In addition to the live virtual meeting and website comment form, you can submit questions and comments via email to my address. That's jtaschek@ecosphere, ECOSPHERE-services.com, or mail to the address shown on the slide, which is attention Allison Corridor Project, Ecosphere Environmental Services, 320 Osuna Road Northeast, Suite C1, Albuquerque, New Mexico 87107. We would like to have your comments by August 26, 2021. And thank you for your interest. And we'll now take your comments and questions. But first, Joey Herring will explain how to use the Zoom controls.
Thank you, John. I'm Joy Herring. I'll be your meeting facilitator tonight. Before we begin the question and answer portion of the meeting, let's go over how to use your meeting controls. Your controls should be found on your ribbon menu, and that's usually at the bottom of your screen. To ask a question, you may raise your hand using the raise your hand button, and then we'll let you unmute yourself. If you're on your phone, you can press *9 to raise your hand, and we do have a couple people on the phone this evening. Or if you would like to type in your question, you can use the Q&A button in your menu. You can also email your questions or comments to John Tashek at jtashek@ecosphere-services.com. So now we're ready to take your questions or comments, and feel free to go ahead and just raise your hand or type into the Q&A box. And we do have a couple of questions that were submitted earlier. So let's go ahead and ask those, which that will help inform our people on the call tonight. Gallup has a tradition of celebrating and depicting Route 66 and Native American art themes in its infrastructure projects. How are these going to be incorporated into this project?
This is Jeanette Walther. So currently, we're only planning on adding color to the bridges and possibly texture to the walls, and that's the current plan.
Thank you, Jeanette. And then I guess we have another question that was asked earlier, and that is, what will happen to the Lotaburger that's being displaced? Are they going to rebuild it elsewhere?
That will be up to the owner of the Lotaburger. However, they will be provided with compensation, and they will have the opportunity to use that money to relocate. And there is assistance with relocation from NMDOT.
Okay, great. Do any of our other attendees have any questions or comments they'd like to give tonight? If you'd like to raise your hand, if you're on the phone, there we go. We have a question from Corey Cash.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, question. I have property that's located on Barbara Street where the flood containment ponds is located is going to be on the west side of all the work on that one. What are going to be the effects of the flooding issue towards the properties, or is it going to try to contain most of that?
So right now, as the Barbara and Florence intersection is a low point, and there is water builds up in here each time it rains. The plan is to put, but we'll be raising this intersection up, which will essentially block the flow. So the plan is to put drop inlets in on either side and pick the water up and take it to one of these pond locations. So that should contain a 100-year storm.
Okay, and you'll have further research and development on those ponds and the capacity they can hold in?
Yes, we need a geotechnical investigation to be done before we can finish sizing them.
Okay.
And did you say that one of these is your parcel?
I don't own where the pond sits. I
Oh.
own directly west of that pond, that assisted
Over-
living home.
Over
Correct.
here, okay.
Yeah, I own all of that Barbara Street from there on. So that we were just concerned about the development on that side there.
Jeanette, I guess just to add to what you said, there will be drop inlets, storm drain installed, not only on Barbara and Allison, but on Florence. So any drainage issues that you're currently having in front of your property will be effectively addressed with the project. If you want to provide us with your contact information, we are doing property owner interviews for most of these parcels that are affected in this intersection area. We'd be glad to meet with you as we develop the design further and share some of those details with you and address any specific concerns you may have regarding your property.
That's fine. Where would you like me to put you want me to put it in the chat, or you want me to, what's the best way to get my contact info to you guys?
You can do that, or you can fill out the comment form or send the email to John Tashik. All ways will reach us.
Okay. I'll send it over to that email right now.
Okay, great.
Thank you for your question. Does anyone else have a question or a comment they'd like to give tonight? Would you like more information on the project? You can raise your hand using the hand button, or if you're on the phone, you can raise your hand by pressing *9. Or if you would like to type your question in, you can use the question answer button and go ahead and type your question in.
We'll give people a few minutes to decide if they want to ask a question. And I can go backwards in the presentation to any of the slides that you have a question about.
We are scheduled to go for a little bit more too. So it's really early. If you have a comment, even if it's not a question or you just have a comment about the project, feel free to go ahead and ask that. Jeanette, is there any other information you'd like to provide our meeting attendees tonight?
Not that I can think of. If you want to look at the previous studies, they're on the project website. If you're interested in why the road was located where it was. Well, I think we might as well wrap up the meeting. And as we've said, please send in your comments. I know a lot of people don't feel comfortable talking to a computer.
Maybe we can stay on for another 5 minutes and just, somebody may come in later. Let's give it a few more minutes. What do you think?
Sure.
Okay.
We can do that. And we should probably talk, though. They won't know that we're still here.
John and your team, I know we're recording this, I guess for the benefit of the other attendees. I'm assuming that this recording can be accessed after the fact through the DOT's website or the project website. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. We have the project website and we will connect it back to the DOT district website.
Very good. So, those that attended tonight, thank you all for doing that. And if you have friends or neighbors or other businesses that may be interested in the project, please provide them that information and pass the word that the presentation this evening is going to be available to people that they can and look at that after the fact.
And you can continue to make comments on the project website comment form. We'll leave that live for as long as we have the website, I guess, and continue to look at the comments.
And we always welcome emails also.
And I see your email, Corey, if you're still on. I just get your email. Got your contact information. Thank you.
Well, I'll just go back to some of the report figures. So I went back to part A, which is the one that would be constructed first, because it has some construction funding.
Would you have a question for Mr. Cashigan?
So just questions, since you switched back to that slide, I'm assuming the stuff that's in the darker color is going to be the higher elevation of dirt before it goes on to either legs or pillars to hold up over the bridge. Is that correct?
Yes. So it's this area here where I said there would be a wall on either side. The black is just representing the road. But yes, so up here near New Mexico 118, in order to have clearance, for traffic to pass underneath, we're at least 20 feet in the air here, and then it will taper down.
Okay,
we
so
are leaving. Go right ahead.
You're trying to get back down to elevations at Barber Street to use those for the access off of that new section.
Yes,
Okay.
and that is one reason why we're buying the properties on the corners, because we can't provide them access.
Is there any future growth to, because Barbara Street dead ends into the airport? Is there any future growth that you guys know of that's going to take Barbara Street back around to 118, or is there only going to be one access to 118 off of the east side of that?
That would be up to the city of Gallup. I haven't heard of any plans.
Okay. That's all I got.
Great. Yes, so since this is going to be a bridge over New Mexico 118 and BNSF, in order to get to 118, one would have to turn on Barbara and go down to Marguerite where there's a signalized intersection, just to the right of this map.
Well, if there aren't any more questions, maybe we should.
We do have a question.
Okay, good.
It's Joe Gregorio.
Yes. How do you plan to handle the traffic when it drops into Barbara Street going east? That's only a one-lane road, two-lane road.
That's true. You know, this area was picked for the study, but even in the future, this isn't projected to have very heavy volumes. The volumes were, I'm not remembering the exact numbers, but far less than 1,000 cars a day are projected to be using this in 20 years. So it's not going to be building a US 491, I guess is what I'm trying to say, you know, and dropping onto just Barbara Street.
What Am I still on? Can you hear me?
Yes,
now
you
I
are.
can, now I can hear you.
Okay, I said, why would you go through the expense of building this big of a project if you're only expecting 1,000 cars a day?
Well, I'm afraid I didn't do the study, but I think the main reason is it will provide some relief to US 491. There's safety concerns with this at-grade railroad crossing. Both the railroad and the city would like to have it closed because there's accidents at that location. Before this existing bridge was built, the old bridge that was in this area was in very poor condition, and they weren't sure that it wouldn't, you know, wash away. So there were various reasons for this project.
When was the last accident on that railroad crossing?
I don't know that. Have to look that up.
So what you're saying is you're going to bring that across the railroad tracks, across I-40, across State Road, which is the historic Highway 66, dump that traffic onto Barbara Street going west, going east, and they have to go one block to Marguerite to get on the historic Route 66. I just don't understand how you can handle that much traffic on just one or two lanes.
You know, it was studied, and this was the preferred alternative and the preferred location. I know that the city of Gallup is looking at potentially extending this in the future and connecting perhaps to Aztec or Mendoza. And at that time, there would be, you know, another outlet if the traffic justified that.
That was my next question. Are there any plans to connect this all the way to Mendoza, which would be the real relief then?
Yes, so that is part of the City of Gallup long-range plan. But the NMDOT project will end here.
Jeanette, at the beginning of the presentation, you also referenced improved connectivity for pedestrians and cyclists from the south to the north parts of town over the BNSF and the river. That's an additional purpose for the project. You also mentioned the previous location studies that were conducted by the City of Gallup and the DOT. Those studies may be of interest to this gentleman in terms of more detailed information on the purpose of the project and all of the different alignments that were considered.
And that is true. There was a recent safety study done by another firm where they found that people were leaving the Walmart and cutting across the interstate to get down to this area. And there were a lot of accidents with vehicles hitting pedestrians on the interstate. So part of the hope is with the sidewalk along Maloney connecting to, an overpass and a bridge over the river, that people will use this road instead of trying to cross the interstate.
Thank you, sir. Did you have any other questions or comments about the project? Do we have anyone else that's in the meeting right now that might have a question? If you do, you can use the button to raise your hand, or you can type your question in using the Q&A button.
We have a raised hand there from,
I have one last question. What's the total cost of the entire project?
The only part of this that's been that's far enough along to provide an estimate right now is the Part A, and that cost is right around 19 million.
Is that for construction and acquisition?
Yes, there is already funding for acquisition. And actually, that's in addition to the 19 million. And I see that Mr. Cash has another question.
Just one more quick question to kind of segue off of Joe's question. Future development said that you will have access off of the freeway, possibly down the road a couple years. Is that the proposed to go to 4 lanes of traffic once you access the actual interstate traffic coming off that? And then will that also bring the 4 lanes all the way down to Barbara and then across on the north side to Maloney and future north projects?
So the 4 lanes, it depends on development, but I'm looking at that as potentially being, 20 years out. And the interchange can't be constructed or even studied unless there's studied further. It's already been studied, but studied further unless there is traffic justifying a potential interchange in this area.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have any other questions or comments? concerns. It's great to have all of these people here to help answer your questions tonight. So if you'd like to ask a question, raise your hand or go ahead and type into the question and answer box.
Well, why don't we give it a couple more minutes, and then if we don't have any more questions, adjourn.
And many of the people who were on the meeting have dropped off. So I see Mr. Gregorio has raised. his
Yeah, I
hand.
just wanted to thank you for including us in this discussion. I appreciate this very much.
But thank you, and we appreciate your comments.
Well, just to remind everybody, the presentation will be on the website in the next couple of days with people's comments and questions, and we'll continue to take input until, we say August, we'd like to have it by August 26th, but we'll continue to be available if people have comments or questions. Well, it's about 6:45. Should we adjourn the meeting?
That sounds good. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for your interest.
Great. Thank you for attending.
Yeah.